In this video, I'm going to show you some new things we're working on for GemStone 4.0, including Python support. We'll start by looking at Visual Studio Code and an extension we have available. If you launch Video Studio Code, search for GemStone and select the Jasper extension. With that, we can download versions of the product and start a database. I'm going to install a new extent that has some sample data that I'd like to show you. With that new extent, we can start the database and then start the NetLDI. Now let's explore the sample app. This is written in Seaside, and we'll start by logging in, and then there's some code to start the application that we will run in a workspace. From there, we can log into the app using a web browser and explore, showing that there's some licensor, licensee. This database has a number of contracts and, for our purposes, a number of invoices. We can sort and look at a particular invoice, see that there is a contract in US dollars, but an amount due in euros, with 0 taxes and an exchange rate of 1.0. Now let's take a few moments to look at AI and querying the data. From Claude, in the VS Code, I can query how many contracts are there. Using the skills file we've provided, it will look at the data and determine that there are 6 contracts. Then I'll ask how many invoices are there. That will be pretty easy to calculate. Then how many invoices are there due this month? That takes a bit more because we need to understand what this month is and what this month means for a due date. But Claude is up to that task and determines that there are 7 contracts due. How many invoices are there that have an amount due in a different currency? Will be the next thing that we're going to ask. Claude can look up the different currencies in the contracts and on the invoices and identify 2 of them. Next, I'd like to know what the exchange rate is for those contracts. Claude can look that up, and Claude notices that the exchange rate is 1 for both of them, and suggests that that is not correct and is probably outdated data. We'll look at that shortly. Next, we're going to look at using Python in a traditional client-server model where Python can talk to GemStone. Our Python app is here and has a menu and a number of commands available. I'm going to open a terminal and launch the Python app. You'll see that it builds it and then presents the menu of commands available. First is just a simple connection test that shows that we can talk to GemStone. With that, we'll move on to something that saves data. Here we're going to ask for a user's name. I'm going to enter my name, James Foster, and then it claims that it saved it in user globals at username. We'll go back to our playground area and try entering that expression in a text field, and when I print it or display it, I see the word testing. That isn't the correct name, so let's go to our login and commit the transaction in the current session and then display it again. Here we do find the correct data. So we were simply having an old view. Our application can list the currencies that are part of the database. we can then list invoices. This is going to generate a large table, so I'll maximize the view. And with this, we can see a number of invoices with taxes all being 0 and exchange rate all being 1-to-1, again, which is not very realistic. We can enter taxes. So here I'm going to put in a value that I would like to be applied to all the contracts. It says that it's done so. So we'll go take a look at the list of invoices and see if the taxes has been updated. It has. Then we'll go look at the exchange rate and have an opportunity to look up the current exchange rate, doing a live query of some service that gives us exchange rate info, and then tell it we would like to update these invoices. Getting back to the list of invoices, we can now see that a realistic value has been entered for these. Finally, looking at Python, there are some libraries that can create HTML documents. So I'm going to go and say, please create an HTML document that presents information about the invoices. So you can use external libraries to create charts, graphs, and other interesting visualizations of the data. Finally, we're going to go back to the web application, look at our invoices, and see that taxes have been entered and a realistic exchange rate is there. So that demonstrates Python talking to GemStone. Now we're going to look at Python running in GemStone, starting with a Jupyter Notebook. I have Microsoft's extension for Jupyter Notebook in VS Code. I can enter some code, run it, and it says, which Python kernel do you want? I'm going to say I want the GemStone one. It says there's a number of invoices. Next, I'm going to add a code that has GemStone Smalltalk in it. Paste similar code and run it there. Next, we'll run a Python script from the command line. This Python module is a pure Python program that can interact with GemStone data within GemStone. It has a loop that monitors the invoices that have been created. I'm going to run it from the command line, and it will sit in the background and watch for new invoices. When it sees a new invoice, it'll send a message to me in WhatsApp. Notice I have no messages right now, or I've cleared the list. I'm going to go add a new invoice, fill in some sample data, and once we have that, we'll click the Add button, go back to WhatsApp, and see that now I've received a notice that there's a new invoice for me to review. So in this video, we've demonstrated VS Code extension using AI to explore data. Python talks to GemStone in the traditional client-server model, and then Python runs in GemStone with a single object space viewing existing data.